a professor in the Department of Biotechnology and Dean Research, Shri Guru Ram Rai University, Dehradun. He has published more than 50 national and international research papers. He is also having one patent in his credit, and sir has more than 20 years of experience in academics and research. With this brief introduction, I request Dr. Arun Kumar sir to give opening remarks to start the session. Over to you, Dr. Arun Kumar sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, one and all. Me, Dr. Arun Kumar, being a chairman of today's session, I am honored and welcome you all of you on the behalf of Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Gurukul Kangdi University, Haridwar, on the occasion of Medicinal Plant Mega Exhibition. Our today's keynote speaker is Dr. Devesh Tiwari, Assistant Professor and Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Lovely Professional University, Fagwara, Jalandhar, Punjab. I hope this talk will be rich and help in research and social point of view. Medicinal Plant Mega Exhibition, which is starting from, as discussed with professors, which is starting from 14 January 2021 and hope will going on till 31st April 2002 with various activities. Now, not taking much time, I give permission to start today's session. Okay, for his valuable suggestions, Dr. and Devesh Joshi sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I would like to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Devesh Tiwari. Dr. Devesh is currently working as an assistant professor in School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Lovely Professional University, Punjab. He obtained his master's and PhD from Kumaon University, Bhimtal, and he is a researcher in the field of natural product drug discovery, pharmacognosy, Ayurvedic pharmacognosy, with main focus in exploration of medicinal plants of the Himalaya region. He has significant research achievements in the field of pharmacological validation and phytochemistry of Western Himalayan plants, with a published patents and multiple publications in peer-reviewed journals of high impact factor like Biotechnology Advances, impact factor 13.59, and seminars in cancer biology, impact factor 11.29, pharmacology and therapeutics, impact factor 10.5, and many more with a cumulative impact factor of 257.17 for published papers. He served as visiting scientist to the Institute of Genetics and Animal Biotechnology of prestigious Polish Academy of Sciences, Poland, and he received important awards for plant drug research like Young Scientist Award by UCOST, Government of Uttarakhand, Best Paper Award by Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, and Research Appreciations Award. He has also served as resource person, presenting author in prestigious international and national conferences. He is editorial board member for some prestigious journals and outstanding reviewer from elsewhere and reviewer for over 20 high repute journals of Elsewhere, Springer, Nature, and Cell Press. He is also an ambassador and member of International Natural Product Sciences Task Force, Poland, Digital Health and Patient Safety Platform, Austria, and is a life member of prestigious organizations like Indian Science Congress Association. So he is having total H index of 21 and I-10 index of 37 and more than 1300 citations. So with this brief introduction of Dr. Devesh Tiwari, I would like to welcome and request to continue with this talk. Over to Dr. Devesh.
Thank you so much, sir. It's my great pleasure, actually, to have introduction from your good self, sir. First of all, I want to thank Professor S.K. Rajput, sir, the organizing secretary. I also want to thank Professor Dr. Arun Kumar, sir, the chairperson of today's talk. I also want to thank Dr. Abhishek Bansal sir for as he is the moderator and he is also my one of my greatest teacher of all time, and Dr. Ravin Kumar sir who is my elder brother and who has given me this opportunity for presenting this session. And in fact, I want to congratulate all the team of Gurukul University for organizing such a wonderful, wonderful plant, Varsity Padak Mahakumbh, which is perhaps, I think, one of the biggest and longest conference ever held in the field of maybe not only in the pharmaceutical, in the medicinal plant sector, but I think of all time. So I heartily congratulate all of the team members. And from Gurukul Kamli University, I am also having a great relationship as well, because two of my my great teacher of my undergraduation, they are teaching there. One is Dr. Abhishek Bansal sir, जिन्होंने हमारा इंट्रोडक्शन दिया, और ये मतलब एक शिष्य के लिए इससे बड़े गौरव की बात नहीं हो सकती कि उनके गुरुजी उनका इंट्रोडक्शन दे रहे हैं. तो आज हम जो कुछ भी हैं सर लोगों की वजह से ही हैं. और एंड द सेकंड इज डॉक्टर विनय नौटियाल सर, जो गुरुकुल कामली में ही हैं और जिनका आशीर्वाद हमेशा हमारे ऊपर बना रहता है, और जिन्होंने हमें इनफैक्ट फार्माकोग्नोसी पढ़ाई और जिनकी वजह से शायद हम आज फार्माकोग्नोसी में अपना करियर बना पाए. और निश्चित रूप से डॉक्टर रवीन कुमार सर, जो हमारे हमेशा एक बड़े भाई की तरह हमारे सामने रहते हैं और हमें मार्गदर्शन देते हैं. तो इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं अपना आज का छोटा सा प्रेजेंटेशन शुरू करना चाहूंगा. माय स्क्रीन इज विजिबल सर?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it visible
Your
now?
screen is visible.
Okay, sir. Is it okay, sir? Full screen?
Yes, continue.
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much. So I once again welcome you all for this very brief presentation. So my topic of today's lecture is prominence of ethnopharmacology based natural product drug discovery in the Himalayas, from Vedas to value addition. So in fact, when I have decided my topic, I gave this topic to the organizing committee, and later on I realized that talking about Vedas in Gurukul Kamli University is like showing Deepak to the sun, in fact. But still I want to touch a brief on that. So basically, as all of you know, all of us know that India is having very great traditional knowledge, and from ancient Vedas to today's modern science, we all have developed step by step. And the Vedas are itself, they are like the basis of all knowledge. So this is a brief outline of my presentation. So it will start with the Vedas, which is the secret of knowledge. Then I will talk a little bit about the medicines in Veda. Then a brief introduction about Vriksha Veda, followed by flora of Yajur Veda, and a little bit on Himalaya. Then ethnopharmacology and how the research can make the difference. And finally, we will talk about the value addition. So, according to the words of Mark Twain, India is the cradle of human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, and the great grandmother of tradition. So as you can see, this is here we can see that these are the different tradition and culture of our great country. So from Uttarakhand, from Himalaya, Garhwal, Kumaon to Karnataka to Punjab, Kerala. So we are having a very diverse culture. So this makes us very special. So let's talk about Vedas. So Veda, as they are known as the secret of knowledge. So this is indeed the fact that Vedas are the secret of knowledge. And as all of us know that there are 4 Vedas that are Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. And this is to the very great interest that it's not the work of any single author. सो ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि किसी एक व्यक्ति ने सारा वेदा के बारे में लिख लिया, सारे वेदों को लिख लिया, तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ। इन एंशिएंट इंडिया इट वाज देयर वाज मैनी ऋषिज sages that were living very simple contemplative life in the hermitage high in the Himalayas and along the banks of sacred rivers. Why I have made this underline? Because all of us know that where the high Himalayas along the banks of sacred rivers are there, because we all know that Uttarakhand is the place from where all the sacred rivers are originated. And so this is perhaps it is my I am not much scholar on that particular topic, but it is my observation and my interpretation that these Vedas are perhaps originated from the Himalayas that are now in the great place of Uttarakhand. And despite of the Indian scholars, the Western scholars also acknowledge Rig Veda as the oldest book in the library of mankind. So this is it's a fact that Rig Veda is considered as the oldest book, and in fact the oldest book in the library of mankind. So for Vedas, it has been said that with Satyam, with Jnane, with Vicharane, with Trilabhe. And I will not go to the detail of the Sanskrit, because in Guru Kamli most Sanskrit scholars are there. So ultimately, what happens after the great tapasya of many sages? So it was believed that God revealed these sacred truths to the ancient sages, and the sages composed hymn and text in the Sanskrit language to express these truths. And some of the prominent sages were like Angirus, Brigu, Yagyavalkya, and Gali. So here you can see some of the probable photographs of these. And their hymns and texts were then passed from generation to generation, from teacher to student. So this is something which is very, very important. Passing the information from generation to generation is one of the greatest, greatest transformation or dissemination of knowledge. And later on, I will talk a little bit more on this, that how this passing information from generation or to generation is today also having a very great sense, and how it will lead to the development and to the origination of science like ethnopharmacology. So eventually, the great Rishi Vyasa, he compiled all the hymns of other rishis into 4 sections, which are now known as Vedas. So when we talk about the medicine in Vedas, so there are generally, I have classified it basically into this 3 parts, because Samved is mostly the Veda which is concerned about the musical part, the chants and other parts. So in 3 Vedas, the most of the medicines are described in Atharvaveda. It is so, as the Ayurveda is also originated from the Atharvaveda. So we can see here that around 64% of the medicine in Veda are depicted in the Atharvaveda, followed by Rig Veda, because many of the medicines are also present in the Rig Veda, and most of these, in fact, the medicines that are present in the Rig Veda are also present in the Atharvaveda. And the 17% of the medicines are presented in Yajurveda. So I will talk a little bit on the flora of Yajurveda, because Yajurveda also consists of so many drugs and so many medicine, more particularly the plant medicine. So somewhere around 71 medicinal plants are described in Yajurveda. Out of these plants are mostly from 32 families. And when we further categorize these plants, so we found that 47 of these are dicot, 23 of these are monocot, and 1 was gymnosperm. And if we classify these according to their, according to their morphological features, so we can find that 28 are tree species, 5 shrubs, and 38 herbs are there. So this is actually generally what happens, if we will go for some ethnobotanical studies, or if we will go for some, some field collection practices. In that also we found a similar type of the depiction even today. Like mostly the herbs are presented, followed by tree and shrubs. So when we saw that in herbs, around 28 grasses are there, 6 legumes are there, 3 aquatic plants are there, followed by 2 creepers, 1 oilseed, and 5 other plants. So let's talk a little bit about the procedures that were followed. So in Atharvaveda also, see Atharvaveda, Yajurveda is considered from the sacrifices. Okay, so in Yajurveda, various sacrifices are given, like different people, mostly the yajna or yajna procedures are given in Yajurveda. So we have seen that many of these medicinal plants were used in the yajna. एंड दी सेक्रीफाइस जिसे हम आहुति कहते हैं, तो इस तरीके की आहुतियां काफी दी जा रही थी. इसमें एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल होम का भी है, होम और हवन जिन्हें हम आजकल कहते हैं. सो मेनी होम्स एंड हवन्स वर प्रैक्टिस्ड दीस डेज एंड डिफरेंट मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स वर यूज्ड इन दीस होम. So अपामार्ग होम was used in राजसूय यज्ञ. So राजसूय यज्ञ जैसा कि हमें पता है कि श्री रामचंद्र जी ने भी हमारे मैथोलॉजी में बोला गया है कि श्री रामचंद्र जी ने राजसूय यज्ञ किया था. तो राजसूय यज्ञ में अपामार्ग होम का एग्जाम्पल दिया हुआ है. So the apamarg home is it came from the plant which is known as apamarg. The botanical name of that plant is Acaranthus aspera. So this is the plant. And this is a very well-known plant, and it is widely found, especially in the Uttarakhand region and many other places as well. And it is believed that this plant is very good for the bodily strength. So that means this plant and the people who are doing this kind of home, how using this apamarg, their bodily strength were increased. Then there is another home which is known as Satrudri home. Satrudri home, in Satrudri home, the plant which is known in Sanskrit as Arka. Arka जिसे बोलते हैं Ayurvedic literature में. And the botanical name of this plant is Calotropis gigantea. So it is also a very common plant and it is also widely found. So why I have placed these plants, because if some students are there, so you can easily recognize these plants because they are widely present nearby us. And this plant is also known for the prevention of diseases. Then two very interesting plants which I found here was Arjuna, that is Terminalia Arjuna, and that Ashwatha. Ashwatha is Ficus religosa, जिसे हम people कहते हैं. So Ashwatha and Ficus religosa, Arjuna and Ficus religosa people, they were also used, and they are believed to increase the male and female infertility. So this is which we can see that these are some of the texts from which we can take the limits to do scientific research. Okay, still if you will see the literature, you will find that many of the plants are there which are, although they are well known, but still a lot of scientific work is required in that, and very limited work has been given. So let's talk about Vriksha Ayurveda. So Vriksha Ayurveda is also a very, it's a kind of part, it is considered as a part of Ayurveda. जैसा कि हम सबको पता है कि Ayurveda is like ancient science of life. Ayurveda को हम ancient science of life बोलते हैं. और Ayurveda हमारे लिए, और in fact after this COVID pandemic, we have seen that how this Ayurvedic medicines have emerged, and not only in India but all over the world. The importance of these Ayurvedic herbs has dramatically increased. And apart from this Ayurveda is Vriksha Ayurveda. Vriksha Ayurveda is like the science of plant life. So we can imagine that how our ancestors were, like हमारे पूर्वज किस तरीके के, क्या उनका व्यक्तित्व रहा होगा, क्या उनका सोच रहा होगा कि उन्होंने व्यक्ति के साथ संपूर्ण वृक्ष के लिए एक साइंस बनाया, जिसे उन्होंने वृक्ष आयुर्वेद का नाम दिया. So Vriksha Ayurveda is a primeval classical compendium of India, wrote by Saliputra around 400 BC. And you can see that how old it is, how old this tradition it is. And unfortunately, there is only one original copy of Surpala's Vriksha Ayurveda, which is written on the palm leaf, and that is preserved in the Bodleian Library of Oxford University, UK. So, unfortunately, we don't even have the original script of our own literature. And it is preserved here in the Library of Oxford. And one daughter was there who went there, and he brought some Xerox copy of that Vriksha Ayurveda, and he later on interpreted it. So here you can see this is preserved there. And when we see, there are different chapters in Vriksha Ayurveda. So there are around 12 chapters are there. Some of them are like Sitrikarana, Tarunhima, Dhamlaksha, Bijodvriti, Upvan Kriya, Taru Chikitsa, then Taru Shubha Lakshana, Poshan-Vidhi, Nisekanavidi, Ropana-Vidhana, and Padmava Vivaksa, then Bhumi. So all these chapters, they are mentioning different, quite different aspect of agriculture. So for example, this, if you will see, that Tamu Chikitsa, it is about the plant pathology. Now, if you ask to some agricultural scientists, you will get to know that people are receiving PhDs in plant pathology. There is a separate subject of plant pathology. So around 400 BC, you can imagine that at that time in our Vriksha Veda, plant pathology is given. Then value of trees are given, which is known as Tarumahima. So why these trees are important? And it is said that producing or cultivating one tree is equal to producing 10 kids. It is mentioned in the Vriksha Veda. So we can see that how important trees were, and this has become even more important when we talk about today's context. Like so many forest fires are being happening in these days. In not only in the Amazon, we shout a lot when the Amazonian forest fire was there, but recently we have seen that in Uttarakhand also so many forest fire is happening, and due to these forest fire, the huge biodiversity is depleting. So we have to learn from these. We have to learn from texts like this that how we should take care of our trees. Then in this you can see that seed treatment and germination was given. Then various astonishing techniques were given. Okay, so various astonishing techniques. Some of the techniques are given like you can produce 2 different plants in one tree. So this is somewhere, if you will correlate this in today's science, so it is somewhere around, somewhere like the grafting technique, where the 2 plants are combined together. So you can imagine that how intellectually rich the people, those people who have developed this, then interplant species were given at that time, interplant spacing, then intercropping was given in the Vriksha Veda. So this is something which is very, very astonishing and which we have to learn from this. Then let's talk about the Himalaya. So, Himalaya is the mega hotspot of biodiversity, and it is the treasury of medicinal and aromatic plants. The area of Himalaya is around 594,427 kilometers, which comprises of Eastern Himalaya, Central Himalaya, and Western Himalaya. So, in this map, आप देख सकते हैं हिमालय प्रदेश जो कि जम्मू कश्मीर से हिमाचल उत्तराखंड होते हुए नॉर्थ ईस्ट की तरफ जाते हैं, तो ये सभी हिमालयी क्षेत्र इसकी विशेष भौगोलिक और जिसे हम कहते हैं मौसमी विविधताओं के कारण बायोडाइवर्सिटी का हॉटस्पॉट है. Then in the Himalaya, what is the strength we have? So you can see Himalaya is itself is a strength. Himalaya, if you will see the beauty of the Himalaya, the panoramic view of the Himalayan heights, you can see it is itself is a very great strength. So we have to, how we can make a sustainable development here. That is also important. Then if we talk about specifically about Uttarakhand, so another strength is pilgrimage. So from, Badri Kedar to Jageshwar to Hemkund Sahib to Kanchi Dham, these pilgrimage are one of the very greatest strength of us. And, all of you know these 2 gentlemen. One is Steve Jobs, who was the founder of Apple and one of the biggest entrepreneur of all time. And the other one is Zuckerberg, who is the founder of Facebook. So these 2 people, they have told in their biographies and from other sources, it was found that they came to the Kanchi Dham, and from there they got spiritual wellness and their life was changed. So एक तरीके की दैवी शक्ति हमारे क्षेत्र में है, उत्तराखंड में विशेषकर है, जिसे हम कहेंगे कि ये हमारी बहुत बड़ी स्ट्रेंथ है. Then our next strength is rivers and lakes. So we are having Ganga, Yamuna, we are having so many lakes and so many like Nainital is there, Bhimtal is there. So these are all beautiful places which we can, in the places they can be developed, even they are developed as a tourism. So when we talk about the tourism in the Indian Himalayan region, so not only in Uttarakhand but in other places also, like if you talk about Himachal Pradesh or Nepal or other Indian regions, the tourism is also very, very important. So these are the beautiful places of Indian Himalaya. And this nature book is in the middle. So if you will see it very carefully, you will find that this is the first volume of nature. So all of us know that nature is one of the most prestigious journal of all time. And this is the volume one, that is the first volume of nature. And this is preserved in the Indian Veterinary Research Institute, IVRI, that is located in Mukteshwar. So what we can see and what we can think from this is like so many very good quality research and development centers are present in the Uttarakhand and in other Himalayan region. So we can also make a kind of scientific tourism here, which will be very, very beneficial, especially for the kids and especially for the students. Then, despite of so many, strength, why the things like this? Like, this is a report of some 2018, and at that report, it was found that in the villages of Uttarakhand, the people were not getting the ration from the government, and they were forced to buy ration from the China. Especially this situation is from the area of India-Nepal border, which is quite near to the which is in the Pithoragarh, basically Pithoragarh district. And the people were forced to buy the Chinese food because of so many problems. Then the other major problem is of migration. Over 700 Uttarakhand villages are deserted in 10 years. So this is something very frightening. ये बहुत विचारणीय विषय है जिस पर निश्चित रूप से सभी जगहों पर विचार किया जाता है कि क्यों ऐसी स्थिति उत्पन्न हो रही है कि सभी लोग अपने गांव छोड़ करके बाहर जा रहे हैं. हालांकि हम भी उनमें से एक हैं, लेकिन फिर भी ये सोचनीय विषय है और हमें इस बारे में सोचना चाहिए. So what is the basic problem behind that? Why this kind of things are happening? So the major challenges which I found during my studies were the social life and the challenges associated with the social life. So here you can see one of the major issues is of transport and connectivity. So during my survey of the Western Himalayan region, I have found that the connectivity was very poor. And even you can see this is a kind of half and 1/4 road. And the people are, they are traveling from this way. उनके पास कोई और रास्ता नहीं है. And another problem is the issue of the medical facilities, the job opportunities. So many problems are there. Here you can see this is a place, from this place I have to go to somewhere around 3 to 4 kilometers above the mountain, and then we have started work. So आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं कि एक छोटा सा पुल है, पगडंडी है. अगर ये पगडंडी टूट जाए तो ऊपर आने वाले सभी ग्रामीणों का एक तरीके से शहर और जो भी कस्बा है उसके साथ संपर्क टूट जाता है. So these are some of the challenges. Then other challenges are like the economic condition is poor. The students or the school children are they are bound to go to they have to walk to a few kilometers to reach their school. And still, some places you can see that the traditional chula is being used. This is not by some, they want to, but it is because, they don't have these kind of facilities. Then this is a typical device which were made to cross the river in the rainy season. And unfortunately, when I talked to the people there and when I talked to the student, I got to know that the schools were closed in the rainy season because, no teachers are there and the people are not able to come from, they are unable to cross the river, which you can see here. Then the economic condition is also not good. And mostly the people are dependent on the agriculture and cattle. And another issue is that the agriculture is in the terrain system. So there is no flat land, very limited flat land are there. And the terrain agriculture is there. And very huge socio-economic gap, which lead to you will see here, the wild fruit is a very small kid who has to go to school and he is selling the kafan to the people in the road. But still, hard work matters and resources are secondary. So this is what we believe. And this is a picture of my village area near Ranikhet. And you can see that this person who alone is plowing his field. और इनफैक्ट आप देख सकते हैं कि ट्रैक्टर भी नहीं है जहां पर की खेती हम इतना एडवांस एग्रीकल्चर का बात करते हैं, वहां पर वो खुद अपने हाथों से अपने बैलों को लेकर खेती कर रहे हैं. But you cannot challenge the hard work, and after some time you can see that all the fields they have started growing, and they have propagated by themselves. So hard work is the key. Okay, so now we will talk about a little bit on agropharmacology. What is the past and the future? So as I mentioned in my first slide, that the knowledge of the Vedas, they have gone from from one generation to other generation. Similarly, the ethnomedicine, or the when we talk about the ethnopharmacology, ethnobotany, this is the science. Sorry, when the knowledge is transformed from one generation to another generation. And this is something that should be our backbone, and that should be our great strength. So in Charak Samhita, it is mentioned that Ausadin Nam Rupa Pyam Janate Haripavane Avipashra Gopashra Ye Chani Vanvasina. That means if you want to have a good knowledge of medicine, if you want to know about the name of the medicinal plant, their uses, you have to ask to the people who are living in the forest. And the people, and the sheep owners. So आपको जो चरक संहिता कहता है कि आपको अगर औषधियों का ज्ञान लेना है, तो निश्चित रूप से आपको जो लोग वनों में रह रहे हैं उनसे बात करनी पड़ेगी, तथा आपको उनसे भी बात करनी पड़ेगी जो लोग बकरियां चरा रहे हैं, जो लोग भेड़ चरा रहे हैं, जो चरवाए हैं। क्योंकि वो originally they are the field scientists, they are the real scientists, they are working in the field by their experiences. It is not necessary that you must have a very formal knowledge. ये कभी भी जरूरी नहीं है कि आपके पास एक अच्छा डिग्री हो, आप PhD हो, तभी एक आप अच्छे वैज्ञानिक हो सकते हैं। नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। ये भी सत्य है कि अगर आप प्रैक्टिकली फील्ड में काम कर रहे हैं, then you can be even better scientist in terms of observation. The observation is very, very important. So then our one of the beloved president and one of the great person of all time, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, he has said in one of his lecture on dynamics of ethnopharmacology that it is a great need for us to have a great knowledge and to have a great research in the field of Ayurveda, genetics and IPR, intellectual property right of the medicinal plant, and the cultivation and medicinal and aromatic plant. So cultivation of medicinal and aromatic plant in terms of the quality cultivation. किस तरीके का हम कल्टीवेशन करें कि हम जो भी स्पेशलाइज्ड मेटाबोलाइट हैं या जो सेकेंडरी मेटाबोलाइट हैं या जिन्हें हम कहते हैं कि फाइटोकॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स हैं, उनका अधिक से अधिक उत्पादन कर सकें. Then this is here you can see she is Professor Yu, and she received the Nobel Prize in 2015 for physiology and medicine. And she was just B.Pharm. She was not even completed. She was not even done her master's in pharmacy. And she started her research from her B.Pharm itself. And he is her teacher. His name is Professor Liu Zishan. And he was a pharmacognosist, one of the greatest pharmacognosist of all time. And she extensively worked in the drug which is known as artemisinin. And artemisinin is used for anti-malaria. And she received the Nobel Prize. And this is the Chinese verse from where she got the literature, from where she got the reference of the use of Artemisia in traditional Chinese medicine, similar to that of our Ayurveda. And this is somewhere the plant which is growing in Takula region in Almora, nearby Almora. So ये आप देख सकते हैं कि कैसे हमारे वहाँ आर्टेमिसिया जो है नीम की तरह होता है, और बचपन में हम लोग लाल मारते हुए इन पौधों पे जाते थे. एंड लेटर ऑन वी हैव सीन, आज जब हम इतना पढ़ चुके हैं और हम देख रहे हैं कि कैसे इस प्लांट से, जिसको हम एक वीड समझते थे, वो नोबेल प्राइज इसको मिला है. She is in fact she is the only lady who received Nobel Prize in traditional system of medicine. Then ethnomedicine, ethnomedicine and drug discovery. When we talk about the ethnomedicine based drug discovery, so we have found that so many drugs, these are some of very basic examples, like that are derived from ethnomedicine. So quinine was one drug which was used in Amazon region for fever. And Artemisia, I have given you the example. Then Razorpine. Razorpine is a classic example which is used in traditional medicine in India for the treatment of snake bite and other ailments. Then Cubiturrin, it was also used in medicine, and it's now well-established drug. Then Podophyllotocin. Podophyllotocin is also used in American and Indian culture. That means the plant Podophyllum is used in the culture, and now it's a very potent anti-cancer drug. And this is also one of the classic examples, which is the Paclitaxel. So Paclitaxel is obtained from a plant which is known as Taxus brevifolia or Taxus baccata. And it is used traditionally. In fact, in the ethnomedicine, it was used in Central Himalaya for cancer. And it was also used in American culture for non-cancerous condition. and that the taxol was isolated from this plant, and it was got integrated. And later on, it was found that that particular plant was already used in Samaria. Okay, then here we can see this is a brief about the ethnopharmacology. So ethnopharmacology is an interdisciplinary science which involves the history, pharmacology, culture, literature, anthropology. And this person you are seeing here, his name is Professor Richard Evans Sloots, and he has extensively worked in the Amazon region, and he is basically considered as the father of ethnobotany. And he is the person who worked extensively in hallucinating drugs. And the thing which is having in his hand is known as the arrow poison, the tuberculin. So these the tribal people, they used to use this particular equipment to shot as an arrow for killing the different animals. And later on, his discoveries led to the collection of more than 24,000 plant specimens. And out of many of these specimens, around 120 species bear his name, like, Porphyra Slootsy, so it is Sloots from his name, and Piper Slootsy, and many others. And he has written a book which is known as Plants of the Gods. And when I was going through, when I went through this book, so what I found in the first page, he has put this picture, which is the picture of the Nataraj. So then, while talking about ethnopharmacology, it is also very important to have a sustainable use of these plants and also to preserve the intellectual property of the people from where you are taking the knowledge. So he is a tribe, and in fact, he is the only tribe who has written a book, and he is one of the world famous tribe. His name is Devi Kopinawa Yanomami. So he said that you have schools, we don't, but we know how to look after the forest. So again, the kinds of forests are there that we have to conserve the forest, rather, whether you are formally educated or not, it doesn't matter. Then when we talk about the problem, especially in the Uttarakhand region, so the problem are, very few traditional healers are left. The youngsters are quite negligible toward this type of traditional knowledge, which lead to rapid decline in use of folk medicine. Very limited scientific validation was done, very less documentation is done, and migration and extreme secrecy of the healer. And all these things will lead to the progressive and rapid loss of this, precious indigenous knowledge. So ये एक बहुत बड़ा समस्या है कि हमारे यंग लोग, हम जैसे लोग इस पे ज़्यादा काम नहीं करना चाहते हैं और हमें जानकारी नहीं है. हमारे पुराने जो बुजुर्ग थे उनको काफ़ी अच्छी जानकारी रहती थी इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में, लेकिन हमारी कहीं ना कहीं एक तरीके से अकाउंट था, मैं कहूँगा हमारा इंटरेस्ट नहीं रहा, और इस तरीके की जो बहुत प्रीशियस नॉलेज है वो खत्म होती जा रही है दिन पर दिन. So during our studies, during my work in the Himalayan, we have found that around 56 plants we have recorded from different families that we were collected and authenticated, and later on we have collected around more than 120 plants for their different claims. And out of these, some of the families like Asteraceae and Lamiaceae, followed by Lamiaceae of the important families. And this is this graph you can see. This is showing that the families and their uses in different diseases. For example, here you can see the plant of Ericaceae family used for somewhere around 5 diseases. Then Asteraceae was used highest for 9 diseases, followed by Rubiaceae and Gentianaceae. So similarly, we have found so many plant families that are used for so many diseases. And these are some of the images that I have taken during my work. So these are some of the very interesting plants, like Barbaris restata. So this is one of the very important plant, and it is highly used in the Ayurveda as well. So Ayurveda में इसको दारू हरिद्रा कहते हैं, और ये प्लांट भी एंडेंजर्ड होता जा रहा है, और इसकी डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है लेकिन सप्लाई बहुत कम है. और क्योंकि इस प्लांट की जड़ें उपयोग में आती हैं, तो इसके कारण इसका एक्सेसिव एक्सप्लॉयटेशन होता है, जिसके कारण ये प्लांट आज के दिन में समाप्ति की ओर है. Then this is one of the beautiful flower of rhododendron arboreum, which all of us know, Buras, which is the state tree of Uttarakhand and the state flower of Nepal as well. Then this is again a very interesting plant, which is Roschia procera. So it is a plant of Astavarga. So this is also one of the plant which is coming at the extinct. Then Heideckium spigata, Nepeta, and these are also some of the interesting plant like this is Geranium volsciana. So this is also a very good plant and it yields a very good amount of essential oil. And even the cultivation of this plant, it can lead to development of the socio-economic condition of the places of the rural people. Then digitalis, all of us know that it is a very well-known plant which is used as carbotonic, and it is the active constituent of this that is digitoxin and ditoxin. They are widely used for the congestive heart failure. So these are some of the very important plants. Then I also got some two interesting plant, which is one is the caterpillar, that is Ophiocordyceps sinensis, which perhaps many of you know about this. This is also known as कीड़ा कली, और ये एक तरीके का मशरूम और इसको हम फंगस एक तरीके से कह सकते हैं. And this is one of the very expensive plant. This is one of the most expensive caterpillar. And it grows beneath the snow. And people are traveling to a high altitude area for collection of this plant. And later on, this was exterminated. This is the major problem. And in fact, I also raised this problem of Vyasa Gambotu at that time Director General of Forest, and who was coincidentally, he was also from the Manchari region. So he knew a lot of things about this caterpillar. Then another plant which I got, Strobilanthes pollici. So this plant, when I saw this plant, तो मैंने जब देखा तो ये इतना सुंदर इसका फूल था कि मेरे इसको तोड़ने की हिम्मत नहीं गई. और इनफैक्ट उस समय जिस समय हमने इसको देखा तो पता भी नहीं था ये क्या कौन सा प्लांट है. एंड देन लेटर ऑन व्हेन आई गॉट आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ दिस प्लांट, so I got to realize that this plant appears only once in every 12 years. The flower of this plant appears only once in 12 years. Then the festival of Amrutali is celebrated in Pithoragarh district. So if you will even go to this particular plant, you will find very limited information available in the Wikipedia as well. So this is also a very less explored plant. Then the thing is, you should explore as much as you can. So while working in the Western Himalayan region, I got to realize that we should explore as much as we can. And fortunately, I got the chance to meet one of the giants in the field of ethnopharmacology, Professor Michael Hendrick. And I also got the chance to meet some of the very great traditional healers of Madhya Pradesh, because Madhya Pradesh is a very prominent tribal area, and Assam and the northeast area. So in fact, in one conference, World Ayurveda conference was there in Kolkata, and they have made their own stalls. So I also highly recommend this. मैं बहुत in fact अपने organizer से भी ये आग्रह करना चाहूँगा कि जब कभी मौका मिले तो हम हिमालय रीजन के भी जो इस तरीके की वैद्य हैं या जो लोग प्रैक्टिस करते हैं उनको हम बुला करके उनसे जानकारियां एकत्र कर सकते हैं. And they are in fact very much helpful, and they are very much willing to share their knowledge. Then sometimes extensive exploration is also less, क्योंकि हम सभी ये समझते हैं कि हमारा एक जनरल सोचने का तरीका होता है कि अच्छा ऐसा कोई पेड़ बताइए जिसपे कभी काम ना हुआ हो. तो हालांकि ऐसा नहीं होता है. कभी कभी हमारा ये मानना है कि जो चीज बहुत ज्यादा एक्सप्लोर हो गई है, अगर आप उस पर भी काम करें तो आप बहुत कुछ पा सकते हैं. For example, tulsi, which is known as the king of herbs, it's a very classic example for that. Tulsi is a very sacred herb, as all of us know that it is widely, it is it is considered as a god in Hindu religion. But it is also very, very popular in the Muslim custom. Not only popular, but it is considered religious in the Muslim custom and the Christian tradition as well. So in Muslim custom, it is known as Ar-Rehan. Ar-Rehan means it is believed that it is said that one who is giving, if somebody is giving you the Rehan, that is Tulsi, one should not refuse it because it is directly coming from heaven. And similarly, in Christian tradition, it is believed that the basil, the basilicum or the tulsi, it is coming from it grows in the place where the Christ was crucified. So we have done some of the work in the 3 species of tulsi, and later on we found that we have reported for the first time the comparative study in these 3 species, And we have found that one species of tulsi, that is Ocimum clemendis charicum, and commonly known as Kapoor tulsi, it was having very good amount of antidepressant activity. And all these three tulsi are very, very, very good, very rich in various nutrition as well. So we have done extensive work on that. We also studied their essential oil, which is although, very, which is studied well, and we have found some of the very high, good quality phytoconstituent like methyl charicol or estragol, then camphor. So it could be also very good source of camphor as well. And this Clemendis charicum, I want to tell you that it is, the native of this particular species is Mount Kilimanjaro in South Africa. And this is, but it is also our Himalayan region is the place where we can grow this particular plant. So this can also be good. Now, can intervention of cutting edge research make a difference? So the answer is yes, it can make a difference. So this is the microscopical image. So in fact, the scanning electron microscopic image of the leaf of a plant which is botanically known as Ficus palmata, और जैसे हम हिंदी में अपने नेटिव क्षेत्र में पेड़ू कहते हैं, तो हमारे यहाँ पे जो किसी काम का नहीं होता है उससे बोलते हैं कि ये आड़ू पेड़ू भिखारू है ना, मतलब कि जो बच्चे जब हम लोग कुछ काम वगैरह नहीं करते थे तो हमसे बोलते हैं कि यार ये तो बस आड़ू पेड़ू भिखारू टाइप के लोग हैं, इनसे कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा. So then I decided to work on some of these, which is extensively used plant. So this is the leaf microscopy of the plant brew, that is Ficus palmata. And you can see that, and in fact, it is one of the first scanning electron microscopy which was incorporated in the pharmacology. And we have also published it in a good journal, and we found that you can even see very good all these structures when you use some cutting edge research. Similarly, these are some of the HPDLC fingerprinting profile of another plant which is known as Fuchsia chirata or chirata, which is also present in the Himalayan region. So again, this is also another interesting plant, that is Angelica glauca. So we have found that this is known as गंधरानी. गंधरानी जो हिमालय में बहुत अधिक उपयोग की जाती है, हम लोग खाने में इसको काफी यूज करते हैं. And traditionally it is said that it is very good for gastrointestinal related disorders. And we have done its GCMS. In fact, we have only some 2 or 3 papers are available on the GCMS of Angelica glauca, and we found some of the very interesting compound in this plant, and which can be further used and further studied for other diseases like neurodegenerative diseases as well. So this is again from the पेड़. So ये फिर से पेड़ों का पेड़ है, इसे आप देख सकते हैं. So we have applied again some cutting-edge research. We have done the extensive LC-MS investigation of this of different extract of bedu, that is Ficus palmata, and we also studied some of the enzyme inhibitory activities of this plant, and we found that this is a very interesting plant. And further, it can be used for for the development of various nutraceutical products, and it can be value added in a more rigorous manner. So here you can see how if you want to if you want to make your research accept in the medical field, then you must apply the cutting edge research. So we are also working in other plants, like one of my colleague, very good friend also, Dr. Shweta Pawari. She has extensively worked in anti-urolithiatic activity of various Himalayan plant, like this, wild Himalayan cherry, Prunus cercoide. Then I also worked when I was in Poland. So in collaboration, we have worked on the very widely used plant that is used in India which is known as methi. We have seen the seeds as a dietary supplement in the liver antioxidant defense system in aging mice. Then one of my very good colleague, he is from Uttarakhand also, and he has done very good work in the genetic diversity of one of the very important plant, that is, Brahmakamala, Sophia ovulata. And then again, we have also worked on some of the very common plant, that is Docus carota. This is the gajar, and we have investigated its anti-urolithiatic potential. So now let's talk about value addition. So again, the value addition is the need of hour. So after the research, now what is demanding is innovation and value addition. So this is, this is the flower, all of us know that is the Boran's flower. And unfortunately, what is happening due to the climate change, these, the blooming time of rhododendron is changing. Okay, and it was widely covered not only by, by local media, but it was widely covered globally. And still, what is happening, हमारे यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि इतने सारे फूल होते हैं और ये सब वेस्ट होता है. So now what is the requirement is how we can add values to these products and how we can use these plant. So this is, you can see that this is the some of the postal tickets of rhododendron from Australia. This is again the postal ticket of India, and this is the postal ticket of rhododendron in Nepal. And in fact, one encyclopedia is made on rhododendron species. And various other products have been made, but unfortunately, you can see none of this is from India. So very limited products are there when we talk about value addition. So this is some of the global scenario. यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं कि नेशनल रोडोडेंड्रॉन गार्डन बनाया है कई कंट्रीज ने. फ्रांस के राष्ट्रीय गार्डन, राष्ट्रीय उद्यान, जो कि बहुत अच्छे रेवेन्यू के सोर्सेज भी हैं, जिन्हें कि आप देख सकते हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया. दिस इज द गार्डन ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया. दिस वन इज द USA. This is again from some other country, and you can see this is the unfortunate condition of our place. So this is a picture from Uttarakhand, where this boy, who should go to the school at this age, he's selling this flower in 5 rupees or 10 rupees to the tourists. So what we need actually, what we or our government need, that we are having this kind of treasure, and why can't we make something like this? Some this kind of garden, which can be, which will become the hotspot for in our area. Then, while talking about value addition, we should also talk about some of the Himalayan fibers. So, कुछ fiber yielding plant है, fiber yielding crop है हमारे Himalayan region में, जिनका कि बहुत अच्छा उपयोग किया जा सकता है और किया जाता रहा है. लेकिन अभी भी काफी कुछ उसमें हम रिसर्च के माध्यम से ऐड कर सकते हैं. So these are some of the plants, like this one is the Agave cislana, which is also known as sisal. This is Cannabis sativa, Hibiscus cannabinensis, and then this is the bamboo. So all these plants, they yield fiber. So these are some of the fiber products, and this is the fiber actually we have isolated when I worked in FRI. So this was, and we have isolated this fiber by a biodegradable method. We have used cow dung and other material, and we have made a biodegradable novel method for extraction of this fiber. So this is, here you can see different, value-added products are made, like bags and, mats and some bed wool, and this kind of product are made. And these are some of the self-help groups there. This is located in Dehradun, and they are also making some of the, local product for this, by this fiber. Now, what we can do actually, we as a scientist, what we can do, we can add the value in this further. Like we can extract some of the chemical constituent like hypogenin, as we have isolated this hypogenin content from this, which is used as a precursor for steroid. So very few, chemical substances are there which can be used as steroidal precursor, and then this particular plant can further be used in the preparation of various phytopharmaceuticals, or pharmaceutical indeed. Then another thing which we can do is by applying a little bit, or not a little bit, by what we can collaborate with the material scientist, and we can make some of the composite material using this type of fiber, which can be used in the bulletproof and aircraft and some car manufacturing industries, and also in the field of bricks and building material. So these are the fiber reinforced material. These are the fiber reinforced composite material which are of very high value. Then further we thought that can conservation be value added? So हमारे दिमाग में आया कि क्या conservation को भी हम value addition कर सकते हैं. So he is one of my PhD scholar who is from Jammu and Kashmir, and he is working on a plant that is known as Heracleum candicans. And this is one of the very interesting plant, and it is having furanocoumarines there, and he's developing some of the formulation for some skin disease, very prominent skin disease from this plant. So this plant is also a kind of very limitedly grown plant, and it is not available widely. So we thought that is it possible that we should use or we should cultivate this plant before doing more experimental work? So we have initiated the things, and he tried to grow. So then this happened. Like he tried to grow the plant, he cultivated the plant and in his kitchen garden in his home itself in Kashmir. And now you can see this. He got a very good very good amount of this particular plant, and now the flowering is there in this plant. So अगर हम करना चाहें तो कुछ भी असंभव नहीं है, और हमें इस तरीके के कार्य करने चाहिए, ये मेरा मानना है. Then this is also a very classical example. So this is here you can see it's a institute of Ministry of Ayush, CCRS in Ranikhet. And when I was in Ranikhet, when I was in Ministry of Ayush, so this particular institute in Ranikhet, they have started cultivation of saffron, Crocus sativus, which is believed to be cultivated only in Kashmir. And they were quite successfully cultivated this saffron. And when we further work on that saffron, we compared in fact both the saffron from Kashmir and from Ranikhet, and we found that both of these are at par in the chemical constituent and the quality of the chemicals. Then when there is a will, there is a way. So this is something very interesting, and I want to share this with you. ये श्री प्रताप मसरियाल जी हैं, जो उत्तरकाशी के रहने वाले हैं, और इन्होंने ये एक स्वतंत्र कार्य करता है और समाज सेवक भी हैं, और इन्होंने 15 लाख से अधिक पेड़ अपने 40 साल की उम्र में, मतलब 40 सालों से ये 15 लाख से अधिक पेड़ लगाए हुए हैं. और recently he has made a Himalayan plant bank, which is a very great initiative. And this, you can see he has made a kind of plant bank from where you can take the plant and you can grow by yourself. So this kind of work is required actually the limited resources are one thing, but you have to go beyond the resources and you have to do the work by yourself. Then this is something which I came across in last 2 days. ये 2 दिन पहले एक खबर आई कि बिहार के किसान ने हॉप शूट्स की सब्जी उगाई जिसका मूल्य करीब 1 लाख रुपए है. और आज मैं जब देख रहा था तो कल मैंने देखा कि this news itself is having less credibility. So बाद में पता चला कि अभी ये नकली खेती है और कहीं नहीं मिला. So that is in fact something very contradictory and it is not proven. So why I am showing you this? One thing is because you can see that there are plants and there are vegetables which can give you this much amount of money for 1 kg. So although whether he has cultivated it or not, that is a matter of investigation. But yeah, this is true that this vegetable cost around 1 lakh rupees kg. So this is quite questionable. But what is not questionable is this. So this is the chemical compound which is present in the hop shoot, which this person is showing, because this hop shoots are used in brewing of beer. So it is widely used in beer industry. That's why this plant is so much expensive. And this is the main chemical constituent of this particular plant, which is used as anti-cancer and which is also used, traditionally known for its tumor inhibiting activity and other, in beer brewing industry as well. And coincidentally, we were working on it. In fact, my student is Mr. Vancha Harish. He is working on this particular chemical compound, and we have got this compound from Germany and as well as from China. And we are working on some of the formulation development of this compound. So this is, and we have reached in a very close to get some of the very novel formulation for this. And we have in fact filed our IPR as well for this. So this is some of the molecular docking studies which we also done in of some of the plants of Western Himalayan region. So it is still unpublished, but we have also found that apart from the in vivo studies, when we had some molecular docking studies, so we found that there was very good binding energy and very good binding was there, and our experiments were quite, we are able to justify our work by using this molecular docking techniques, and we have seen that we were quite able to explore some of the mechanisms through these techniques as well. So this is something where the cutting edge research is required, and this will be very, very beneficial. This is another very interesting work of black salt which we did. So he is one of my very good friend, Mr. Vikas Nautiyal. He is also from Uttarakhand, and we collectively, we collaboratively work in Himalayan black salt. सो ये काला नमक है जिसको हम सभी जानते हैं और स्पेशली हिमालयन रीजन में हम घरों में हर घर में ये पाया जाता है, जिसको पेट में काफी यूज किया जाता है, कहा जाता है हमारे बड़े लोगों द्वारा कि ये बहुत अच्छा होता है. So what we did, we extensively studied this. We have in fact comparatively studied the white salt, the table salt and pink salt and this black salt. And we investigated this for its various elementary properties. And we have also structurally evaluated this particular, black salt. And what we found, very interesting finding we got. First of all, we get to know that very limited work was done on this particular black salt. And even finding literature was very, very difficult for this. Then when we found that this black salt was having very less amount of sodium in comparison of both these two salt, and significantly less than the white salt. So this will lead to, you can say that क्योंकि हाइपरटेंशन और ब्लड प्रेशर हम जिसे कहते हैं तो उसमें एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या अधिक सोडियम वाला नमक होती है, और मार्केट में लूना नाम से एक नमक आता है जिसको लो सोडियम सॉल्ट कहते हैं. सो अगर हम इस तरीके का ब्लैक सॉल्ट को यूज करने लगे तो हम देख सकते हैं कि ये हाइपरटेंशन जैसे डिजीजेस के लिए बहुत अधिक उपयोगी हो सकता है. सो दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ स्मॉल वैल्यू एडिशन थ्रू आवर रिसर्च व्हिच वी हैव एडेड, and this was very highly covered by various media agencies as well. This rock salt study, including Indian Express. So the scariest moment is always just before you start. So this is my request to all the, especially the students, that just start before thinking. It's better always to think less and do more. So you can write anything, and if you will write anything, आप कुछ भी लिखेंगे तो उसका एक बहुत एक अच्छी ऑडियंस तक आप पहुंच सकते हैं. और जरूरी नहीं है कि आप बहुत अच्छे रिसर्च पेपर लिख रहे हैं, आप हिंदी में भी लिख सकते हैं, जो मैं बहुत ज्यादा पसंद करता हूँ हिंदी में लिखना. अखबारों के लिए आप लिख सकते हैं, आप छोटी पत्रिकाओं के लिए लिख सकते हैं, आप अदर मैगजीन्स के लिए लिख सकते हैं, लाइक फार्मा बेज मैगजीन, दे हैव आल्सो कवर्ड सम ऑफ माय थॉट्स ऑन दिस. Then you can also write for some other good magazine like Vigyan Pragati is there. उनके लिए भी आप लिख सकते हैं, and especially for the student, for the junior class like B.Pharm. So don't set limits to your mind. ऐसा नहीं होता कि आप मास्टर्स में जाएं या पीएचडी में जाएं तभी आप रिसर्च पेपर लिख सकते हैं या तभी आप कुछ बड़ा कर सकते हैं. So this is one of the good example. Like he is my B.Pharm student and he is having his project work, and he did a very good review work and it was published in some impact factor 4.8. So although I generally don't believe much in impact factor, but you can see that you should not have any limits. Why you should not have any limits? Because all of you are the pharmacists, especially for the students who are from pharmacy. You carry a great legacy of the pharmacist. This is very, very important. You have to understand this. See, these are some of the greatest pharmacists of all time. और ये मैं इसलिए भी कहना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि जब भी मैंने अपने अध्यापन के करियर में और जब से मैं फार्मेसी में हूँ, मैंने एक चीज देखी है कि बच्चे फार्मेसी को हमेशा एक दूसरे ऑप्शन की तरह, एक सेकंड ऑप्शन की तरह लेते हैं. बहुत कम बच्चे हैं जो कि बाय चॉइस फार्मेसी करना चाहते हैं. तो क्या आप सोचिए कि अगर इन लोगों ने भी फार्मेसी को बाय चॉइस न लेके बाय चांस लिया होता तो क्या ये वो कर पाते जो इन्होंने किया. थोड़ा सा मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा. ये फ्रेडरिक सटनर है, इन्होंने मॉर्फिन की खोज की. सो ही वाज अ फार्मासिस्ट एंड ही डिस्कवर्ड मॉर्फिन, एंड आई होप ऑल ऑफ यू नो दैट मॉर्फिन वाज द फर्स्ट मॉडर्न ड्रग एवर. So you can see it is the basis of the so-called modern medicine. अगर मॉर्फिन नहीं होती तो शायद आज मॉडर्न मेडिसिन जिसकी हम बात करते हैं वो शायद नहीं हो पाते. Then he is Caleb Davis. So he is also, like from Pepsi to Coca-Cola to Morpen, all these are the people who developed this type of, drinks, which are today even we are drinking. Then she is Professor Yu too, received a Nobel Prize. Then he is Howard Horatio Humphrey. He was the Vice President of USA. So he is also one of the greatest pharmacists जिन्होंने न केवल फार्मेसी में बल्कि फार्मेसी से हटकर भी जिन्होंने राजनीति में जाकर के यूएस का वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ये रहे. Then he is Luke Howard. Luke Howard is known as the father of microbiology. मतलब मेडिकल स्टूडेंट जाता है. And so you can see that how it is not necessary that you should only specifically area. You can also.
Nunca sei, amiga, se ele só não tinha sem student. Karena pandemi yang kesempatan.
Terus mereka banyak represented. Sebenarnya
Sebenarnya sesuai yang dari sini kita tuh sih medical student, full medical student. इसलिए तो मुझे पहले लगा
Biggest industry and medical industry. Then how you will be able to get all this?
hospital.
You will be able to get this. You will be able to get this by having discipline and control, which is the central to development. Okay, and this picture you can see. This is the picture of different police dogs, and here you can see this is a kitten here, and all of these are practicing the control. If any one of these dogs will move toward kitten, they will be disqualified. So which shows instinct control become reason. अगर आपके पास एक instinct control है, so ये कारण बनता है किसी भी कार्य को करने का. Reason and the control become inspiration. आपका एक नियंत्रित कंट्रोल में कोई भी कारण एक इंस्पिरेशन बनता है, और इंस्पिरेशन एंड द कंट्रोल बिकम रियलाइजेशन. So if you are having a very inspired inspiration which is under control, it will become the inspiration. Then find your ikigai. So this is the town which is from Japan, which is originated from Japan. There is a place named Okinawa in Japan, which is known for the very high life expectancy. In fact, जो भी शतायु पार कर चुके हैं, माने कि 100 साल से ज्यादा जो लोग हैं, ऐसे सबसे अधिक लोग ओकिनावा में हैं. और जब उन पे रिसर्च की गई तो पाया गया कि उनमें इकिगाई एक चीज थी जो कि कॉमन पाई गई. और इकिगाई क्या है? इकिगाई एक ऐसा केंद्र है जिसमें कि आप काम करते हैं निश्चित रूप से. मतलब ये एक ऐसी चीज है जिसको अगर आप गीता के सापेक्ष में देखें तो जो बोला गया है कि कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते. So this is also something like that. So you do the work which you love, where your passion is there, which is a kind of a return will be there, and for what you can be paid for. So that could be your profession, and in what you are good at. Then make your own ideas. So आप अपना आदर्श बनाइए. Something like Swami Gupta, he is one of the pioneer, Padma Shri, and professor at IIM, former professor, and he is one of the greatest person. And he said that minds on the margin are not marginal mind. जो मैं आपसे पहले कह रहा था कि जो लोग मार्जिन है उनके दिमाग मार्जिनल नहीं होता है. वो कई बार ऐसी खोज करते हैं जो कि बहुत बड़े वैज्ञानिक नहीं कर पाते. And he is also one of the greatest person. He is Professor Anand Mushkilkar. He was the former Director General of CSIR. And he said that the flight of imagination has no limit except the one that you put in your own mind. So your imagination has no limit until you don't put it on your own mind. And finally, what I was saying कि कैसे deplete हो रही है हमारी folklore knowledge. So he was Mr. Negi, and he was also one of the very great person who helped me a lot in during my work. And he was he made some of the food from this local vegetable, and which is very good for its anti-cancer activity, which is reported traditionally. And I got to know some few months ago that he passed away. Okay, so इनका देहावसान हो गया. और ये हम देख सकते हैं कि कैसे अगर आप सोचिए कि मैं उस समय इनसे जो भी जानकारी थी अगर मैं एकत्र करके उसको डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं करता तो शायद वो जानकारी भी ऐसे ही विलुप्त हो जाती. So this is the importance of how we can conserve our own knowledge, our traditional knowledge. And resources are we should not complain about resources. So this is something you can see here. हमारे पास जो official the equipments which are required for plant collection, I don't have these equipments, and we are not having that much of financial resources and other resources. So what I did, I purchased this cutter which is used in cutting the cable, and we started cutting. I have started cutting the plants for my sample collection by this, and in fact this was working even better than the official equipment. So this finally I want to say thank you very much. मैं आप सभी को बहुत प्रणाम और बहुत धन्यवाद कहना चाहता हूँ. And you cannot believe in God until you believe in yourself. So thank you very much. Thank you all the organizers, and thank you all the listeners.
Thank you, Devesh. Thanks for
Thank
the
you, sir.
wonderful and informative session.
Thank you, sir.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Anand Kumar sir, chairman of the today's session, for concluding remarks. Over to Dr. Arun Kumar sir. Dr. Arun Kumar sir. So I think some technical issues is there.
Hello, Dr. Bansal, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes. Your voice is low, sir. So some technical.
Thank you, Bansal sir. Good afternoon to all. On behalf of the Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, myself, Ravindra Kumar Kamboj, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and the entire family of Gurukul Kangdi University. First of all, my sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's events a grand success. By His blessing and grace, we are able to make the event better. On behalf of my department, I give a really heartfelt vote of thanks to the School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, lovely professional University, Punjab, who spent his busiest time gracing the occasion. Today we had the opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is definitely encouraging us in our future events. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds and shown us new path. Thanks to all the speakers for adoring the occasion and sharing their opinions today. We are also thankful to our chairman, Sir, Professor Dr. Arun Kumar, Professor, Department at Biotechnology and Dean Research, Shri Guru Ram Rai University, Dehradun. We are also thankful to our moderators, Dr. Abhishek Bansal Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Gurukul Kangdi University, Haridwar. We are also thankful to our head, Professor Satyendra Kumar Rajput, and Dean Professor R.C. Dubey Sir, and all teaching and non-teaching staff of entire Gurukul Kangdi University. Thanks to all. Thank you so much, Divesh Sir. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Arun Kumar Sir. Over to Abhishek Bansal.
So this we reached at the end of the session, and we welcome all of you for visit physically our department, Naushade of Mahakum. So we come to end the session. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir.